Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are at. Happy New Year to you. As we say, make this a great year. And I'm George Guy. I'm CEO, Executive Director of the Fort Wayne Housing Authority in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm also the president of the National Association of Housing Redevelopment Officials, which we know as NARO. And I am coming to you with another episode of the community. It's been a while, but we're back, and I am glad to be back in 2025 because we're launching a new show, and it's called The Community. We renamed it because what we want to do is we want to talk to people that are doing things to have a huge impact on community. We like to talk about three things. We like to be intentional. We like collaboration, and we do all that because we want to make sure that we have a collective impact. So we want to talk to people that are having a collective impact in their community in their respective spaces. So this year, I get to start with a friend of mine, but he is someone, and I'm not just saying it because he's a friend of mine. He is someone that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He's passionate about what he does. He's an educator and he's a coach. And I will say this, and I've always said this to him. He was probably one of the best track coach that I know. And I am glad to call him my friend and my brother. And so I have the opportunity to kick off this year, 2025, the first episode of the community. My good friend, Mr. Jarrin Williams. Jarrin, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Appreciate that introduction.
Yes, yes, yes. And Jarrin is live and direct right now. He's training.
Yep,
He's in the dungeon, as we call the dungeon, at
yep,
Rock Island High School.
that's right.
But Jarrin is a high school teacher at Rock Island High School in Rock Island, Illinois. He's a head cross country and track coach. And I don't want to date him, but he's been doing that for
Uh,
over
yep,
right around 30 years now or
yep,
so.
yep, it's right
Uh,
up there.
and I can't think of anyone that's more passionate about kids, more competitive. He's really about teaching. And so I wanted to start off this year to talk to someone who understands what passion and commitment means. And he's all about collective impact. So, Jarrin, hello. And why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you come from and
Yep.
what you do now and what your path to get to where you're at right now.
So Mr. Guy and I actually both attended Rock Island High School. We were members of the track team. We go all the way back to elementary school here in Rock Island, Milan, the school district. We both graduated from high school in 1990. I was fortunate enough to earn a track scholarship to Southern Illinois University, and I ran track and field for the Salukis. Graduated after 4 years, got into retail, did some other things professionally. Because I ran hurdles, one of our teammates, Mr. Eric Belby, asked me to get into coaching. So in 1997, I officially got into coaching, which led me to decide to go back to school to earn a second undergrad degree to become an educator. And so I've been in Minnesota, I've been down in St. Louis area on the Illinois Metro side at Belleville East High School. I was at Pleasant Valley for a little while in Iowa, and now I'm back at our alma mater, Rock Island High School. I've been here since the 2016-17 school year. I became the boys head coach for Rock Island High School in the fall of 2017. And then I was fortunate enough to become the head coach for the boys track and field team in 2023. So this will be my third season as the head boys track and field coach here at Rock Island High School.
Good, good, good. And there's a lot of accomplishments. Obviously, he's coached a number of athletes. He's turned some programs around. I happen to know that, and we'll touch into some of that. But really, when we talk about community development, um, I talk about it from a people sense as well. We just don't talk about bricks and mortars.
Right.
And I know you. I know how passionate you are about community, and specifically kids. What drove you to education? First of all, what do you teach, and why that?
So I'm a freshman, well, I'm a high school English teacher, and for the last few years, I've been focused mostly on freshmen, but I've taught all the grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. I've taught journalism and world literature, global literature, American literature. So I've done some of everything. The reason I chose English was because as a young person, so well before I decided to become an educator, reading and writing was always important to me. I loved journaling, I loved reading. And so when I got into coaching and I decided that education was going to be my new career path, it was pretty obvious from jump that English was going to be my focus.
Good. And Jarrin, I happen to know your journey, and just really, if you don't mind, because you do a good job of telling your story in terms of how role models and also track in particular, kind of. I'm not going to say saved your life, Jarrin. You've always been smart. You've always been capable. But what was your journey, and how has school, I mean, education and sports impacted that along the way?
Well, it is fair to say that athletics and education did save my life in the sense that as a young person, I could always do school, but I wasn't necessarily athletic. As a youngster, I did have work ethic, and I had tremendous coaches throughout, starting, no joke, with the community Rock Island Striders. And so, we had passionate parent involvement who were our coaches. So I'm thankful for them. And then I got to junior high, and I was a little bit wayward in the junior high years. So track kind of kept me on track, so to speak, because it was easy for me to kind of make poor choices and hang out with young people who were making poor choices. And luckily, I had some adults who saw some potential in me and they realized the track could be something that helped me. And, there's no shame in that. So, because I had that experience, that was in my toolbox that I didn't realize was there until I became a coach. So then when I got to the high school, freshman, sophomore year, I was on the team, and junior year, team won state, and I just happened to develop as an athlete that year. So I got to be in the presence of greatness, which really changed the trajectory of my life in the sense that I'm like, wow, I want medals. I want college scholarships. And so, I entered my senior year of high school with purpose. Like, you know what? I really do want to compete at the next level, and I'm willing to academically and athletically do what I need to do to make that happen. And then I was able to earn that scholarship at Southern Illinois, had some success early on. And so, I didn't plan to be an educator or a coach at that time, but again, all those experiences that I was having, really, it's a good thing. It's like I put those in my backpack, my toolbox, so to speak. And so when my teammate Eric Belby got me into coaching, a lot of coaching just made sense to me. And so a lot of the messages that coaches had poured into me at the time authentically and genuinely came out, so that when I was having conversations with young people, trying to inspire them to do things that they maybe didn't realize they could do, because our coaches did that for us. And now that I'm an educator, sometimes, people think that athletes don't really focus on the right things, but there's so many distractions out there that nothing's changed in terms of the pursuit of excellence. So if you want to be good at something, you got to be committed to doing it. If you want to do it in high school, you got to be eligible. So you got to learn how to do the academic piece, which I have no problem selling. And I'm on my kids about that. Like, if they know ad nauseum, what do you have to do to be eligible? And if you're not doing that, why aren't you? So, and then, for the ones who are fortunate enough to go on to the next level, being able to share some of my experiences and insight, to help them as they figure out what's the best path for them moving forward. So, I'm real lucky. Almost every day I'm reminded how awesome it is that I get to do this. I enjoy teaching too. So, I'm not one of those coaches who just coaches so I can, or teaches so I can coach. I enjoy both. So to be able to inspire kids in the classroom and on the track and field and on the cross country courses, it's real meaningful, impactful work for me personally.
And that's why he's my favorite coach, because not only does he teach. I mean, he's very passionate about. Jaron's passionate about everything he does, and he, he forgot to mention he's also a little modest. He was a conference champion in one of the most competitive conferences in the country, and that's real. And but that aside,
Well,
he's a humble servant. Um, let's go back to your childhood. You and I grew up in Rock Island.
okay,
Talk to folks about
that's right.
how that shaped you and what that was like in your
Yeah,
community, and how that shaped who you are
yeah,
today. And this, because when people out there listening, we want to be able to
yeah,
talk about how education and
right.
modeling, role modeling, and that type
Yeah.
of thing, how that impacts folks' lives. So talk about that.
Right. So, in our community, especially when we were growing up, there was such a rich and strong tradition of pride in Rock Island that, when we came up, it wasn't something that we established. We aspired to be a part of that. And when you're a teenager, you don't understand that you're contributing to or establishing your legacy, but that's what it was. And so, you know, people who don't live in our community think they know our community. And I, like, on my social media, oftentimes I'm often lauding the accomplishments of our young people, because while it's easy to talk about the negative aspects of community, it's, people tend to forget there are good things happening in the community. Young people are doing great things. And so when we were growing up, we always had something that we were striving to be part of, or even be better than, and not in a cocky sense, but it's like, hey, why wouldn't we go out here and try to be the best we could be? Why can't we come out here and do something that nobody's done before, which we were able to do? And to be a part of that, again, has inspired my journey as a coach. I don't talk much to my kids about, like, necessarily what state, but my challenge to them is, how do you want to be remembered as an athlete? How do you want to be remembered as a teammate? How do you want to be remembered as a student here in this community? Because regardless of what you're doing, even if you're a good athlete, are you a good person? Because people are going to remember those things about you. And so, being able to pass it along to our young people, because they have been passed on to us, that's really important in my opinion.
And let me say something. Jarrin and I met. He came to our school. We went to a school. Our elementary school was Grant Elementary School, and
That's right.
many folks know I'm big into education as it pertains to. I believe education is a gateway out of poverty,
Yep.
and I tell people that we were poverty adjacent.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Socioeconomics
so
is real. Yeah.
we were forced to be creative.
Yep.
But Jarrin came to our school in second grade,
Mhm.
and I was set to win the spelling bee
I
competition that year. I was looking forward
knew
to
you
it.
was gonna do that.
Okay, but he and I met, and he came from this. And I don't know how long he was at the school, but he and I were in the championship, and he beat me 2 years in a row. I might add, to go to the city
Oh
competition
man.
to represent our school. And I say that because in fun and jest, but he is a competitive spirit. And when the school that we went to, can you just really talk about how that, because education is important, that
Yes, sir.
school, what did that elementary school that was right there by near our, where we lived at, it's in our neighborhood.
That's
What
right.
did that school do for you? What did those teachers do for you, Jerry?
Oh, those, so the community was tough. Like you said, socioeconomics. And when you're a little kid, you don't understand the impact that has not only on you, but your parents and your family, et cetera. But those teachers had a lot of pride in us, in terms of, like, when I came to school there, no teacher ever made me feel like I was less than. I was promoted to like English class, like a grade above us. And our fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Love, was the one who inspired me to journal as part of a creative writing experience. And that's a skill that I carry with me to this day. So, when I'm looking, growing up, when I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody, I had that. And so, we had a lot of adults who pushed us, and they didn't let us do less than because of reputation or perceived reputation. They expected greatness from us. And so, in addition to our parents' support at home, the elementary school there, now that we're adults, I can look back and be like, yeah, that was a rough situation. They could have easily been like, oh, yep, they're the next set of thugs, whatever. But that is not my recollection. We had a lot of great teachers who expected and demanded greatness from us. Mrs. Haynes, I could just, like, roll call the teachers who really expected us to be great. And it's so cool to be teaching in the district that had that impact on us as young people.
Sure. So, Jared, now I'm getting to the coaching side of things in terms of some of the things. Talk about some of your accomplishments in terms of some of the athletes you had the opportunity to coach, and not just you've also trained a lot of champions, state track champions, and the like. So, how many state champions have you coached, Mr. Williams?
I, so I was not expecting to be put on the spot, but I mean, I'd rather talk about the kids than I talk about myself. And I'm proud that I have coached state champions, especially on the girls' side. I had a high jumper at Belleville East in 2007 who won the state championship in the high jump. And in fact, with three girls in four events, we finished seventh in the AA state meet. So I had two of the nine finalists in the 100-meter hurdles, and then I had the high jump champ who dabbled, and she ended up getting fourth in the long jump at state that year. In 2011, I had a girl who won the 300 hurdles for me in Minnesota. I've had some all-staters on the boys side as well. I haven't coached a boys state champ yet off the top of my head that I can recall, but a lot of state champs. And then, moving back here to Rock Island 2016, so 2017 would have been my first season. We ended up having a young man who came out for track in 2016 as a sophomore. Most people know who he is. His name is Courtney Lindsay. I didn't coach him directly, but I was on the staff, and we have a great relationship. And so, Courtney was able to like take that hunger from the introduction to the sport, went to the junior college level, experienced some success, and became a national champ there. And then in 2023, really blew up for Texas Tech University, and was the 100-meter NCAA Division One champion in the men's race. And nobody was looking for him there. He's more of a 200 runner. Ends up getting second in the 200 at the NCAA meet that year, and then the next month ends up making the world championship team to go to Budapest with his third place finish. And then this past year, 2024, he's an Olympian who ran the anchor leg in the first leg of the first round of the 4x100 relay. So, again, the greatness, just being a part of the young people's journey is inspiring. It's just been really rewarding.
One of the things I talk about, Jarrin, is preparation.
Mhm.
And no shame in my game. Track and field gave me that in terms of understanding that, and I apply and leverage that in my everyday work.
For
Talk to
sure.
me about how you go about teaching, because I know you're big into mental preparation. There's people out there listening,
Right.
adults that may need to understand how you translate that in terms
Right.
of the teaching of the sport and
Right.
that. Can you
Yep.
talk a little bit how you teach the sport, the mental preparation and practice and all that stuff and all
Yep.
that?
So it's interesting you asked the question. So I can use two of the event areas that I coach, so you can see how that works. I was a hurdler, so I coach hurdles and getting ready to get into a hurdle workout right now. And then I also coach cross country, and people think that all you just do is run long distance and you're either good at that or you're not. And we had a coach, John Coolidge, who was really about the technique and the form and the science of running, and that stuck with me and that helped make me a better athlete. So, we talk about going out and being efficient as runners, being efficient as hurdlers, and doing things that are going to make us better. But also the mental part, sometimes inexperienced athletes don't understand. You don't just show up on meet day and hope for luck. You have to be mentally preparing for those moments as you go through. So, like literally, when somebody tells you you have to dream it to achieve it, you have to be thinking, okay, so when no matter who I coach, I ask them right up front, like, what is your goal? Because I coach all types. Everybody doesn't want to be a state champ because they don't know they can be a state champ. They might want to be a JV superstar. So, what are you doing to prepare yourself to be the JV superstar? Are you showing up? Are you working on the mechanics? Are you taking care of the nutrition and the hydration? Are you getting the rest? And then are you seeing yourself being successful? And understand that it's not easy. You can't fear failing. So, but you have to see yourself being successful too. If you show up on meet day and you're not mentally prepared, but you're only physically prepared, that's like half the battle. So you're hoping that something good happens. But when you're in the moment and you're hurdling, if you hit a hurdle, are you in the race? Are you mentally present? Because you might have to adjust. If you're not mentally present, you're going down. But if you hit some hurdles, we've been drilling. Remember what that feels like, the muscle memory, but make sure that you're mentally engaged as well. Same thing with cross country. You in Illinois, we race for 3 miles, and so I don't train a 3 mile workout. We do some different things for speed. We do our long runs, and then understanding that recovery is important, but then having the maps of courses. And even though cross country is different because the terrain is different, the track always looks the same no matter what track you go to, outdoors as well as indoors. But just making sure that you understand, like, I've seen this race play out in my mind. I know what I want to do when I get to this hill. I know what I want to do if somebody runs up on me. Like, you're mentally prepared and you're trying to just have a game plan for almost every situation. And sometimes it doesn't like play out the way you want it to play out, but at least you are mentally engaged. And as a result of that, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be like successful in the way that you want to be. So again, if you're a JV superstar, you're not qualifying for the state meet that year, but that's okay. You got to have some success and get bitten by that success bug to decide that, okay, I'm looking to see where I can go next with this. And so it's constant. We practice all the time, and I think one of the things that some people who don't know think, I might be bored with, well, you've been coach for 20 some odd years. How do you keep it fresh? Young people are different every year. And even if I get you for 4 years, which is great, what are we doing different from the previous year? How am I helping you get better this current season? How am I setting you up to be successful? So, there's a lot that goes into it. And, hopefully I addressed your question, but
Absolutely.
yeah, the,
And
the physical and the mental.
the mental, and I know that's really big into how you train athletes, even the athletes
Yeah.
you train in addition to
Yeah.
practice. And
Yeah.
and that's really how we look at life, right? I
Yep.
mean, needless to say, I'm still traumatized by some races I should have won.
Yeah.
And I have a story to share with you. I was a junior, and I was real tight before a race, state finals. And Jarrin knew I was tight. We were 16-year-olds, okay? And this is how we thought at the time. And at that time, he told me, he said, George, why are you up? Why are you tight? He said, you need to remind yourself to mentally walk yourself through the race. You've been here before. And
Yep.
it was literally minutes before I had to run. And it wasn't until in the middle of that race that I put that all together. So I know what kind of coach he is. And even as a young people, that's how we helped each other out. When we talk about iron sharpens iron. So Jarrin,
That's right.
what is your goal this year? What would determine success for you this year?
Well, that's kind of tough, and I'm gonna come over here on purpose. I'm switching it up on you. As this is my third year as a head coach, one of the things I've learned over coaching is, like, as much as you may want it, like, change doesn't come quickly as a coach. So we haven't won the conference meet in boys track and field here at Rockland High School for some time. Whereas when we were in high school, our class was a member of 3 or 4 winning um, conference title teams, and the year we didn't win was the year before we won state. So we were constantly driven by goals, and so my goal every year is to keep moving up. We've moved up. When I took over the last season before I took over in 2022, we finished seventh out of 8 teams in the Western Big Six. It was a 6-team conference that got bumped up to 8. And the next year, we finished fifth. So my first year as a coach, and we were a few points out of fourth. This past year, we were third, a couple points out of second. And we've got tough competition in our conference. Don't get me wrong. I respect what the coaches are doing, what the athletes at the other schools are doing, but I want to see us win. I winning isn't everything, but winning is fun. And really, my message to kids is, when you're done, you don't want any woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, oh, I could have done that. I should have done that. Well, why didn't you? I'm lucky. I honestly don't think I left anything on the table as an athlete. I didn't know that that was going to be the case for me getting into coaching. So, but being able to carry that over to young people and help them realize, because those are life skills you take with you, no matter whether you're going to be an athlete after your career is over or not. But you're going to go out and you're always put your best effort forward. So there's a lot in athletics that translates to life. And so knowing that makes me feel really good about the work I'm trying to do. But yeah, if we could win Big Six in 2025, I wouldn't be mad about it.
There you go. There you go. And I like
Yeah.
what you're doing in the background there. That's nice. I see you. See, everything
Yeah.
this guy does is intentional. You know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
did that. It's all about the brand. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with 2 more questions, and they're gonna be real easy. This next one, though, I know it's gonna make some of our people mad, but your favorite teacher that had the most
Oh,
impact and why? 2 minutes.
don't do that. I mean, because it
You
depends
can give
on
me
the
two
year.
or three. Give me two or
Yeah,
three.
I was gonna say, like, I think every year. So Lawan Glasgow, Mrs. Glasgow, she was amazing. I had her for English freshman year 1 semester, and then I had a different teacher. But I like the other teacher, um, Mrs. Glenn Cheeseman. She just passed away recently. Linda Milton, I had her senior year. So like most of the English teachers were my favorite. Jerry Janicki taught government. Mr. Sias, I think he passed away. Rest in peace. He taught junior year American history. Like there are very few teachers who didn't leave some kind of impact on me. And I hate the roll call. Off the top of my head, those are the ones that I would answer right away. Just real fortunate that there was a lot of pride in Rock Island, even through our educators, because that leaves an impact on young people. I never had a teacher I felt like didn't want to be in the classroom with us. So, and that's important because kids know if you don't want to be around them, and yeah. So
I put him on the spot with that one.
you
So
did.
okay, now I look at folks when we talk about the community.
Mhm.
Um, you're a hero in my eyes, and that's how we look. That's why we bring heroes on here. We believe that you're heroes in respective places that you're doing, because we're in the development community,
Thank you.
developing the community. So every good hero
Mhm.
must have a theme song. So, Jarrin, if you
Oh
can say
man.
what would your theme song be
Well,
if
so
there
you
was
put me on
you know
spot. I'm gonna take it. How about I take it to our high school senior year? Let's
there
go
you
there.
go.
And there's a couple. I'm gonna say the first one's not appropriate, but it came out right for graduation, and it was a jam like the whole season, the whole summer, and most people can still bop to it. That's "Poison" by BBD.
Okay,
Love "Poison." That's still one of my jams. My go-tos if I need to pump myself up. Love Johnny Gill, "Fair Weather Friend," "Troop," "Spread My Wings," that whole album. Janet Jackson, "Rhythm Nation." There's a lot of great music our senior year. So I don't know if I have a hero song, but let's say I have a hero soundtrack. Those
there we
songs would
go.
contribute to that soundtrack.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. So, Jarrin, any I know music. That's why I asked my question. Music is a big
I
deal with
know.
Jarrin. Jarrin is
Um,
definitely on that.
right.
So, but Jarrin, anything you want to leave folks before we close out?
I guess I'll start with thanking you for this opportunity to just speak to my story. And it's kind of special because, you were my teammate, you're my friend, so you're a part of that story. And you know that I feel this way about you because I was able to go and support you in Chicago recently at a conference. Um, I hope for my young people that they have the kind of bonds and relationships that I was able to establish growing up because, we pour into each other, we push each other in good ways to just try to bring the best out of each other. So when we connect and we see what the other is doing, that we get to like speak life into that and congratulate each other on the things that we're accomplishing, but keep holding each other accountable, keep pushing each other, never settle. And so, yeah, I guess my hope is for anybody who's going back to the community theme that there's like pride in where they're at and what they're doing, because it makes the work purposeful, if you will. And so, yeah, that's what I'm gonna leave you with.
Good. Coach Jarrin Williams, my friend, a community servant, a humble servant at that, a teacher, a coach, a mentor to many. And I just want to thank you for joining us for the first show of the 2025 on purpose and intentional. We wanted to make sure that we had someone that we believe has a big impact in the community served, not just the community served, but you heard him talk about an athlete that's competing one of the best ones in the sport in track and field. He's also supporting him as well. That's just who Jarrin is. Thank you, Jarrin, for being our guest this year in 2025, our first guest.
It's an honor. I appreciate you. Happy New Year to you and to all the viewers. Hopefully you achieve some things that you can be proud about that you can share with others.
Good. Well, folks, this will wrap up the first show of 2025. We want to thank Coach Jarrin Williams, and you can follow Jarrin on social media under Jarrin Williams. You can kind of see some of the cool things he does. He takes great pictures and accounts of kids, not just kids as athletes, but all the kids that are involved in different activities in the school and also in the community he serves. And he's really embodies what this show is all about and what we're going to try to bring to you in terms of content this year. Again, we want to thank him and we want to thank you for being a part of this, the journey that we're doing to recognize people that are heroes in their community with the work that they're doing. We want to make sure they get recognized because sometimes we do not recognize those that are serving, sometimes the underserved, but just trying to make sure they push the community a little bit forward. We don't feel like they get enough attention. They are the superstars. So, with that being said, we're going to close out this show with just saying to you, remember, you want to be intentional. Please try to collaborate when you can. And we do that all for what? To make sure that we have a collective impact so we can serve people and advance our communities together. All right. See you next time in the community.